next on Life on Air.
I wanted to change lives. I wanted to be able to have a greater impact than what I had when I first got into radio, when I was an entertainer and someone convinced me, hey, you can do more than entertain people, you can empower them too.
He's one of the most prolific motivational speakers of the last 25 years. And yes, Les Brown is also a former TV host. Today he shares his wisdom of how to create the life and career you've dreamed about.
Be willing to take a chance on you, bet on you, become a risk taker, because you are your greatest asset.
Get ready to get motivated. Life on Air starts right now. Hey everybody, this is Tialdo, and welcome to Life on Air, the podcast for the TV hosting industry. My job is to connect you with the experts and to help you become the best TV host you can be. Now, as we've talked about in past podcasts, our industry is going through quite a change. Ever since the year 2000, when reality programming was introduced, the business has evolved, and some days we just don't know exactly where it's going, and that tends to create a little bit of mediocrity. And so I've brought on a very special guest today, a guy I admire very much. He's not only somebody who has worked in the television industry, but somebody I idolize and who has inspired me quite a bit throughout the years. And his resume is quite remarkable, so I'll just give you a couple of the highlights here. He started public speaking in 1986. This is a guy who was a foster child. He has no high school diploma. He became a state representative in the state of Ohio. He had his own television show through King World Productions. In 1992, he was awarded Toastmaster International's Golden Gavel Award, which means he's one of the top 5 speakers in the world, and today he continues to be one of the most sought-after motivational speakers in the world, and somebody that I had the great pleasure of sharing the stage with recently in Dallas. So, Mr. Les Brown, it is my honor to welcome you to the podcast, sir.
And same here. Thank you so much for who you are and the inspiration and hope that you provide for people that's in the industry.
Oh, well, you as well. And I want to go back a little bit because I know you had your first television experience. You had your own show called The Les Brown Show, I believe. Was that in the 1980s?
Yes, absolutely. Well, the early 1990s with King World, that was syndicated nationally, and it ran for a good time. It was the highest rated, fastest canceled talk show in the history of television.
Now, what I do love about the Les Brown Show was that it is quite different than I think most of the programming that we're used to right now. I mean, you really went for a positive approach. Kind of talk about the concept.
Well, we had the first show that was based upon resolution and positive. In fact, Oprah copied our format because when I came into television, it was based upon conflict and controversy. And so we felt that we wanted to do something that was in alignment with the specials that I had produced for public television, one which we received a Grammy for called You Deserve. It's something that will allow people to look at, and as a result, their mindset would be transformed and their skill set would be expanded in terms of options that they can take to improve their lives. And we were very successful in doing that, but King World wanted to go in another direction, and I didn't want to do that, and so we parted company.
Now, you have worked in a business in which you have been in front of people probably, I would say, a majority of your entire life, and we tend to work in that same type of industry in TV hosting. We're in front of a camera. We're in front of an audience. Talk about when you first started, maybe the fear that was involved of getting up in front of people and how you overcame that and eventually built a speaking career and a television show.
Well, as we all know, the best way to conquer fear is to confront it. And so I did it again and again and again until I became comfortable. One of the things about being a broadcaster, if you're in radio or television, we live as blind people. And what I mean by that is that we motivate, inspire, communicate with, and connect with people that we cannot see. And so I think there's a dimension about who we are that we develop that most people are not aware of. If you can move people and connect with people and you can't see them, once you can see them, then now you have an advantage, I think, over people who've never done that. And so today I listen to what you talk about in terms of all the changes taking place in the industry, and you said it lends itself to mediocrity. I don't believe that. I believe that it lends itself to one being creative and taking charge of their own future. Ted Turner said, content is king. And so this is a time, you think about what Time magazine said in 2007, that the computer is the person of the year. Well, now we have more channels and distribution centers in television and the internet than we've ever had before. And so this is a time where people have a lot of options where they can develop themselves, and this is a time you must be flexible and versatile and adaptable in thinking about and how you have a broader vision on how you see yourself. Where do I want to use my talents, in what arena and what format? How is it that I can begin to find something that fits me and my personality and my passion and my energy, and be able to build an audience, be able to build my tribe, as Seth Godin would say. And so that's, I think, it gives us tremendous opportunities today, more so than we've ever had before.
Yeah, I think you're certainly right. There are so many modalities out there that you can get yourself out there. Now, one thing that will never go away in our industry, and that you are probably one of the best people I've ever seen do, is you're able to connect with your audience, and you're able to relay the passion that you have in your heart to that audience. You've spoken to audiences bigger than I could probably ever imagine, and yet you still speak with this energy and I would call it courage that I've never heard before. Where did that come from for you?
Well, the first time I spoke to an audience of over 80,000, I don't think I had much courage. I had to go to the bathroom 7 times.
I love it.
I was terrified. It was in the Georgia Dome, and they filled the stadium with over 80,000 people for a group of entrepreneurs. Dexter Yeager from Amway has sponsored this event. And so once I got on the stage, my mentor Mike Williams was there. He said, Les, pretend that you're in your living room, because I was nervous. My heart was beating fast. I couldn't think. I didn't even know my name. But once I got rolling, then I was able to get through it. In fact, those who are listening, I've sent you a copy of that.
That's right.
So if you have some people who would like to have a copy of it, just send me their email and we'll email it to them. But I think that all of us have the potential to do more. My theme is that you have greatness within you. And the only way that you manifest your greatness is that you have to deliberately put yourself in a state of discomfort and perpetual preparation for that next chapter in your life. Because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. Your power is beyond your comfort zone. And so this is a time, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, this is the age of self-reliance. This is the time you got to take your career in your own hands, because even if somebody gave you an opportunity, you don't know how long it's going to last. I had an event that I had with CBS. They gave me a show about a year ago, and I did it for a year. And then I had a party toward the end of my contract, and I thanked them and said, no, thank you. They were shocked. I said, I would have perhaps did the show if I could do it from the comfort of my home, but they wanted the show done in their studio. They wanted to have you under their thumb. I'm not mentally fit to work for somebody for the rest of my life. And so I don't want to do that. And so this is a time that you have to ask yourself, what do I want to do, and what resonates with me? How can I provide service with my talent, with my knowledge? Knowledge is the new currency, with my personality, with my energy signature, and be able to build an audience, to build a tribe of people that have a vision and share my world vision of what they can do with their lives. This is the time where you got to be creative and innovative in how you approach and look at media, because things are changing so rapidly. You have to take charge of your own life, because if you're working for someone, you're going to do 2 and 3 jobs for 1 paycheck and no job security. That's not a good environment to be in. In fact, in many media settings, the people you work for, they treat you like you ought to be glad you have a job. And just coming and to work each day there at CBS and looking at people who were no longer alive in many cases. They're just holding on and tensed and hope they didn't get laid off. And all types of changes are taking place in the industry. And so this is the time you want to live a faith-driven life rather than a fear-driven life. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And you hit on a perfect point there that I know resonates throughout our industry. And it's one point that I've heard you bring up over and over in your speeches, and that is that you never really wanted to work for somebody who you were relying on them to pay you. You wanted to write your own checks. And I think many of us in the industry, we're creative, we're independent. We don't like to take orders necessarily from other people, and we want to go out and entertain and write our own paychecks. How did you find that you were able to parlay your career into you writing your own checks instead of everybody else?
Well, this is not rocket science. I figured it out. You have to figure it out. But I didn't do it for many years, for 14 years, because I was living a fear-driven life. My mindset was, who would hire me? And I don't have a college education. I've never worked for a major corporation. Who would hire me and see me as an intellectual resource and reach over people with PhDs and MBAs and years of experience to come in and motivate them to do something I've never done? And so that fear-driven life prevented me from even attempting to do what I'm doing right now. And fortunately, my mentor, Mike Williams, he stayed in my ear. They say faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. And eventually he got through to me. And had he not, I would have died with this Les Brown in me. I had no idea of this voice that you now hear, that it existed. So I would say to people listening that you've got to decide, what do you want? And figure out a way to make that happen. I mean, I enjoy inspiring people, helping people. I enjoy being before people. I enjoy doing blog talk radio. I enjoy doing seminars and workshops. I enjoy giving keynotes. I enjoy training speakers and presenters and entrepreneurs and athletes how to use their personality and use their story and how to make a difference with people, influence them, and build a financial empire. I've earned over $65 million doing this in the last 30 years, doing something that I love to do, that I would literally do for nothing. They say a career is something you love so much you do it for nothing, but you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. And so when I got into this business, I wanted to change lives. I wanted to be able to have a greater impact than what I had when I first got into radio, when I was an entertainer and someone convinced me, hey, you can do more than entertain people, you can empower them too. And so that caused me to begin to expand my vision of myself of what was possible, and I was open to being coached and being willing to learn some new techniques and strategies on how I can use my experiences and my personality to build an audience.
Absolutely amazing advice. I know we're running out of time here, and before we go, I wanted to see if you could share with the audience one of the most important concepts that I know you've ever taught me, and you talk about it all the time, is that you have to change the voice that is going on in your head to be in the positive. And I know you have resources to help people do that. Can you talk about how you teach people to do that?
Well, how we live our lives is a result of the story we believe about ourselves. Psychologists call it your self-explanatory style. So I encourage people to go to seminars and workshops, listen to programs just like what you're having right now, that what you're doing literally is creating an experience for people. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to go back to where it was. At our website, lesbrown.com, I have a set of CDs that at the time that I gave this series of speeches, I was sleeping on the floor of my office in the Penobscot building on the 21st floor in Detroit, Michigan, and bathing in the sink down the hall. I had no idea from that time to this time that I was building a dream where I would be paid $25,000 an hour to speak domestically and $125,000 when I speak internationally. I had no idea. I say to people that are on this call, when you begin to find something that resonates with you, that can create value for people, and it's who you are, it becomes your magnificent obsession, eye has not seen, the ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. Be willing to take a chance on you, bet on you, become a risk taker, because you are your greatest asset. An interview was done with Warren Buffett, and they asked him, what's the most important investment you can make today? And here's a guy that has billions of dollars in real estate, billions of dollars in the stock market, and he said, the most important investment you can make is in yourself. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And
this message has been approved by Les Brown.
You've never done television before, have you? Well, hey, Les Brown, you are so full of knowledge and wisdom and motivation. And as I've told you before, personally, I just want to thank you so much for how much you've inspired me and helped me to grow. And I just want to thank you for taking the time today to share your knowledge and experience with the audience.
Well, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I would exchange my cornbread voice for that golden voice of yours any day.
Well, you're very kind. I think we both have those deep resonating voices that we can only thank God for. So, folks, that is Les Brown. If you want to check him out, as he said, you can go to lesbrown.com. And by the way, the program that he was mentioning is one that I listen to every morning. It's called Create Your Greatest Life, and it is a series of CDs that Les created over a period of time. And if you listen to those every morning, I guarantee you that voice in your mind will change over time to the positive, where you feel like you can do anything. So, Les, once again, thank you so much. And folks, as I always tell you, the only way to predict your future is to go out and create it. Now go do it. We'll see you next week.